It has been 14 months since the Octagon touched down in the Sunshine State. The UFC brings a major middleweight fight to Hollywood, Florida for a summer showdown between two of the division's elite. Former light heavyweight champion Lyoto the Dragon Machida continues to take on the best the UFC has to offer. He'll have his hands full when he meets the 6th-ranked Olympic silver medalist wrestler Yoel Romero. The Fox Sports 1 UFC Fight Night weigh-in show starts right now. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Fox Studios in Los Angeles. I'm Karen Bryant alongside retired KO artist Brian Stan. The suit next to him is filled with the former light heavyweight champion, Sugar Rashad Evans. And Brian, it's been a while since you've been at the desk. How have you been?
I've been all right. You know, a fight in my backyard. I live in Atlantis, down in Florida. Kenny kicks me out, and I got to come to L.A. where he could just drive to the office to do the desk show. Go figure. Thanks a lot, Flo.
Rashad, listen, we know you're getting closer and closer to returning the Octagon. Give the people some good news.
Well, I hope that you was able to notice what's happening right here.
You see that right there?
Your boy's coming back. It's popping out through the suit, you know. No, but in all seriousness, I've been feeling great, training pretty well. I'm looking to return in October.
All right. Great to have both of you guys here. Now, listen, Brian, you fought at 205 pounds as well as 185 pounds. You know how tough those divisions are. Machida, Yoel Romero, both of these guys are coming down from 205 to 185, and they're really looking to secure that top 5 spot.
Yeah, you know, especially for Romero. For Machida, I think it's securing himself as a title contender. You know, he had that fight against Chris Weidman. It was an outstanding fight. A lot of people wanted to see a rematch. His last fight against Luke Rockhold has left some question marks. A win over Yoel Romero keeps Machida in the title equation. Can he get it done? And, you know, you're running out of time and chances in a division that is getting very crowded with contenders.
You know, and he's going against a very game Yoel Romero. And Romero is the most decorated wrestler in the UFC. You know, not only is he good at wrestling, but he's rounded out his skill set with some great striking ability. And when you're a wrestler, when you round out your skill set with with striking, it makes it that much harder for people to stop you because you have that other dimension. And that's what he does. He has that other dimension, and he has a lot of power to go with it. You know, he has great power with his hip turnover. He can knock you out at any moment, and he has great ground and pound on top of it. It's going to be a good fight.
And we should say that Machida currently ranked number 4 and Yoel Romero currently number 6. Now, Rashad, in our co-main event, this one's going to be a banger. We've got Lorenz Larkin and Santiago Ponzinibbio, two very aggressive strikers. They're actually looking to make their break into the top 15. It's a very big platform being the co-main event. Do you think these guys are ready?
Well, if they're not ready, they better get ready, you know, and this is no bigger opportunity than the stage they're on right now, coming in at that co-main event now after a few people had to pull out a fight, but now they're on the big stage. Now they got to go out there, now they get a chance to go out there and prove that they can do it.
All right, well, we are going to take it to our man on the ground in Hollywood, Florida. His name is John Anik. He's got some pretty excellent mic skills, so we're going to let him take it away.
What is up, Hollywood, Florida? Thank you so much for coming out. It is the weigh-in. Our Octagon girls, Vanessa and Chrissy, the best matchmaker in the world, Joe Silva, and Ricky Mineta bringing up the rear. All right, UFC Fight Night, Machida versus Romero. We begin with the Fox Sports 2 UFC Fight Night prelims. First up in the bantamweight division, Danny the Gremlin Martinez versus Sirwan Sohan Kakai.
Tomorrow, one of the most feared strikers in UFC history is looking for another shot at the belt as Lyoto Machida takes on Yoel Romero. Coverage begins at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1.
$135.5 for Sirwan Kakai. And his opponent, please welcome Danny Martinez.
Tomorrow, NASCAR Sprint Cup racing is in Sonoma for the first road course of the season with the Toyota Safe Mart 350 as Carl Edwards defends his title from last year. Coverage begins tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
right, next up, moving on to the welterweight division, Steve the Creepy Weasel Montgomery versus Tony Sims. First fighter to the scale, making his UFC debut, Tony Sims.
Tonight, Alex Morgan and Team USA continue their quest for a third World Cup title as they take on China at 7 p.m. Eastern on your local Fox station.
$170 on the nose for Tony Sims. And his opponent, Steve Montgomery.
Steve Montgomery thought he was going to be a bass player in a rock band. It was actually his bandmate who introduced him to mixed martial arts and the gym to train. He was on The Ultimate Fighter 21, but unfortunately suffered a seizure before he was able to fight on the show.
$170 for the Creepy Weasel, Steve Montgomery. All right, next up, we're staying in the welterweight division. Leandro Buscape Silva versus Lethal Luis Gonzalez.
Wednesday, don't miss UFC Tonight as the best team of analysts in the business break down all of this weekend's action. Plus, we'll look ahead to UFC 189 and the Ultimate Fighter finale. UFC Tonight is Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern only on Fox Sports 2 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. $174 for
Luis Gonzalez. He has 2 hours to cut the final 3 pounds. And his opponent, please welcome Leandro Buscape Silva.
Leandro Silva's last fight ended in controversy when the referee stopped the fight thinking that the opponent, Drew Dober, passed out due to a guillotine choke. The fight was later overturned to a no contest. Now with that fight behind him, Silva is ready to leave no doubt in this fight and enter the top 15 conversation at lightweight.
$170 for Leandro Silva.
What? How much is that? 3 pounds over. Well, he's 170.
All right, now we get to our featured prelim also in the welterweight division. Alex Cowboy Oliveira versus Joey Slash Merritt.
This July, home field advantage for the World Series is on the line as baseball's best gather in Cincinnati for the 2015 MLB All-Star Game. Coverage begins July 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
$169 for Joey Slash. And his opponent is Alex Cowboy Oliveira.
Alex Oliveira, who's left Brazil a little bit to train with ATT, expanding his arsenal, just coming weeks after defeating KJ Noons, was noticed in a barroom brawl for his potential by mixed martial arts coaches, and that's actually how he got invited into the sport of mixed martial arts.
170 for Cowboy.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the desk at the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles. We are moving along to the 5-fight main card, which you can see tomorrow right here on Fox Sports 1, the exclusive home of the UFC. Kicking things off, our featherweights, Hakran Diaz and Levan Makashvili. The Hornet Makashvili weighs in first.
Makashvili coming in short notice on this fight. You know, Makashvili is a guy who traveled 30 hours on a plane from Georgia to North Carolina, was dead tired, got off the plane, made weight, then goes out there and wins a fight. And he said, you know what? If I would have been able to sleep just a couple hours, I would have won. I would have destroyed that guy. That's the mindset this guy has.
$145.
145 for Levan Makashvili. And his opponent, currently ranked number 14 in the world, Hakran Diaz.
Hakran Diaz was raised in the favelas of Rio, Brazil. He lost his father at a very early age. He had to drop out of school to help support his family. He was a lifeguard. He actually collected money on the bus before he got into the UFC.
You know, a lot of attention to be given to Jose Aldo and Renan Barão. This has been that other guy in the gym who has that kind of talent potential. We've yet to see some of the finishing capabilities and it all come together. Maybe this is the fight for Hakran Diaz.
145 and a half.
145 and a hook for Hakran Diaz.
Does he strike to the ribs often, Brian? Is he the guy?
He's not the guy. He is not the guy.
Referring to that Jose Aldo situation, huh?
Oh, my goodness. Didn't we all hold our breaths there for a couple days?
Still are.
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit of pushing going on here.
Making Joe Silva earn that paycheck right there.
All right, with that, we move along to a middleweight bout. Thiago Marreta Santos versus Steve the Boss Bossy.
Bosse, you know, I got a chance to train with Bosse. He came down to my training camp to help me train for Rampage in 2009. Heavy-handed guy, power in both hands, you know, was a enforcer in hockey. And, you know, this guy's got a lot of hand power, dynamite in his hands.
185 and a half.
185 and a half.
And this is his first time at middleweight.
And this is his dream. First time at middleweight, and it's his dream to be in the UFC.
And
this guy has, you know,
Thiago
long awaited
Marreta
this opportunity.
Santos.
Thiago Santos, a former Brazilian Army paratrooper and two-time state champ in Muay Thai. I remember calling a fight of his UFC debut against Hani Marks. He was a 4-1 underdog in that fight. This guy can kick, okay? He kicked Hani Marcus. When he kicked him, every ounce of air came out of his body and finished him in 53 seconds. This is a guy who's been thought of as a very bright prospect in this division. This is a great style matchup for him to maybe separate himself from the pack.
And I remember that was a fight down in Brazil, right? And so everybody didn't know who to cheer for because they were happy a Brazilian won, but they thought the other one was going to win.
Exactly.
That was impressive.
185 and a half.
185 and a half for Marreta.
People may also remember Bosse. He was going to actually replace our good friend Quentin Rampage Jackson in the fight with Maldonado when Rampage was having those issues. But of course, Rampage was able to take the fight.
And that's actually what brought Bosse back, you know, because Bosse, he was going to give up fighting. He got injured and was going to give up fighting. He actually started to be a firefighter. Then he decided to come back after that opportunity, and now here he is.
All right, now we get to a feature bout in the middleweight division. Antonio Cara de Zapat Carlos Jr. versus Eddie Truck Gordon.
Eddie Gordon said his waist is the smallest it's been since the 8th grade. He lost 20 pounds. Now, normally, he's cutting 20 pounds 24 hours before a fight. I spoke to him this morning. He was already at 183.5.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, guys. He says he would gain about 50 pounds between fights. So the first several weeks of his camps were always just trying to lose 50 pounds.
Well, this is a guy who was a defensive lineman at Fordham University playing football. He weighed 290 pounds when he played ball.
184.5 for Eddie.
And half Jamaican in me has to point out, Brian, that he was born in Montego Bay.
And his opponent, Antonio Carlos Jr.
All right, ACJ, as I like to call him, or Shoeface, where he got his nickname. It's interesting. So I wanted to go into where did he get the nickname Shoeface? Well, his coach in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Helder Medeiros, that gentleman's nickname was SpongeBob SquarePants. So that you can find is where the origin of this crazy nickname. This is a guy who I believe on the undercard of this fight has the best upside, the most potential to one day be a contender. The big test now, this is his first time at middleweight.
He's already winning the nickname department. I'm sorry, but Shoeface is the greatest nickname.
And for his first trip down to 185, he looks solid. He doesn't look too sucked in. This is a guy who has world class and world championships to his name in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Big knockout power in his hands.
I'll tell you what, Gordon looks amazing as well, too. It shows that since he decided to drop the 20 pounds, it's been a lifestyle change, and that's what that comes down to.
All right, now we
make a
get to the
lifestyle change.
co-main event in the welterweight division. Santiago Boa Ponzinibbio versus Lorenz the Monsoon Larkin. First fighter to the scale.
Lorenz Larkin has always been one of those fighters that you've seen him at 185 and you've seen glimpses of greatness in him, but he hasn't been consistent since he dropped down to 170. His last fight against John Howard, he's just been he looked amazing in a fight, and it showed that, maybe the lighter weight class is exactly what he needed.
And when you look at him, he looks like he would be a small middleweight.
Oh, absolutely. No, you're talking about a guy who fought, Costa Phillip, Derek Brown. These are big guys. He's always been way smaller than his opponents.
Ponzinibbio.
All right, these guys are getting an outstanding opportunity to be the co-main event. Ponzinibbio is the perfect guy for that. You talk about a finisher. He's got 12 first-round finishes in his career. 21 wins. Out of his 21 wins, 17 of them are finishes. He's talked all week about how much pride he takes in being a fighter the fans can count on to go out there and put on an exciting performance. He is going to move forward and try to knock the head off Lorenz Larkin tomorrow. Do not miss this co-main event. It's going to be a very fun fight.
$170.5 for Santiago Ponzinibbio.
Both these guys are really good on the scale, not sucked out at all. And that's really important because it's going to be one of those fights where they go toe-to-toe, and it's going to be a lot of pushing going on the whole fight.
High pace. These are combination punchers, high volume. Always great when you could see that for 50 if they can keep that pace. I would put my money on this fight not going the distance. I don't think it'll even get out of the second round.
Big fights are made with big opportunities, and these guys got a big opportunity. I got a big opportunity fighting the main event on the card like this at the same arena, Seminoles against Sean Salmon.
Right now it's time to take a closer look at the two men on the poster. They share the marquee for tomorrow night's middleweight main event. Take a look.
Lyoto Machida has fought the best of the best in 2 different weight classes in the UFC. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has a background in sumo, and he is also one of the best at blitzing fighters. He will show you some lazy movements, and then out of nowhere, he will blitz in on you.
When I finish the fight, it's a very special feeling. The look on my opponent's face says it all.
Lyoto Machida still believes that given the right conditions, he can still be a world champion. But he's going to have to get by Yoel Romero to prove that.
Una pelea grande, una pelea importante, por la importancia que tiene. ¿Cuál es? Es cerca de estar del cinturón. Estoy trabajando duro para eso.
Yoel Romero, he looks like some CGI-created Avengers character and moves like one as well. The wrestling skill that he shows inside the octagon is absolutely ridiculous. He is as elite a grappler as we have ever seen inside the octagon. What Yoel Romero is going to have to do is utilize his outstanding wrestling, utilize his ridiculous speed, and show Lyoto Machida that he can hit him and hurt him on the feet. He's got to take Lyoto Machida out of his game.
I'm not worried about his game plan. I know exactly what he's gonna do in order to beat him.
No veo por qué le debo temer a Machida. Es Dios que me rodea y me cubre. Es Dios que me tiene aquí por un motivo.
I have to win this fight because I want to get back in the mix for the title shot. We're gonna lay it all on the line.
Que yo no voy a desistir nunca de la victoria.
At the end of the fight, my hands will be raised.
First fighter to the scale, the Olympic silver medalist, number 6 in the world, Yoel Soldier of God Romero.
Yoel, the greatest wrestler in the UFC right now. You know what? One thing that Yoel has been a problem with is just his endurance, and it's just how he paces himself out for the fight. He explodes a little bit too much, and he doesn't find himself in a good position to finish the fight strong. But you know, I got a little spy inside the HT camp, and they say they work specifically on that, trying to make him stronger, trying to make it so that he paces himself well and that he lasts throughout the fight, and so he can use his good wrestling all the way through the fight.
The Black Zillions have a spy.
A spy, of course we do.
Say it isn't so.
186 for Yoel Romero.
He is the soldier of God, Brian.
And his opponent is the former UFC champion, number 4 in the world, Lyoto the Dragon Machida.
Well, let me stop your heart from throbbing here, Karen. You know, this is the fastest turnaround for Machida since 2004. 70 days since he fought Luke Rockhold. And he said, look, I wasn't hurt in that fight. The biggest injury he had were bone fragments in his hands. This is his 11th main event, and he's actually been in 2 main events that he won without ever getting punched.
186 for Lyoto Machida.
And that was Mark Munoz and
CB Dollar.
CB
Dalloway.
I'll tell you what, though, Machida's body looked a lot better than he did going against Rockhold. It looks a lot tighter. In that fight, he looked a little bit loose, and he looks tighter, like he's definitely in peak performance shape.
All right, here with Yoel Romero. What's going on in your mind, your thoughts right now on the eve of the biggest fight of your mixed martial arts career?
¿Qué está en tu mente ahora que tú estás pensando en la pelea mejor de tu carrera ahora?
Que he sido bendecido por Dios.
I've been blessed by God.
Yoel Romero, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck tomorrow night. All right, here's the former UFC light heavyweight champion, Lyoto Machida. Big challenge, of course, in front of you tomorrow night. What is the biggest challenge in facing somebody like Yoel Romero?
I think he's wrestling, you know. He's a phenomenal wrestler. But I think I know how to stop his takedowns. I know how to keep my distance and apply all my technique.
Always a pleasure to watch you perform. Best of luck tomorrow night. Lyoto the Dragon Machida, folks. All right, thank you all so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. We'll see you right back here at the Hard Rock.
Thank you very much, John. And welcome back to the city.